Well, hey, everybody, welcome to the Seeing Ability podcast, where we're having a conversation about the world of people with disabilities. And the name of this podcast was developed because wouldn't it be great if everybody just saw individuals as people and they just discovered their ability? So the whole idea is if you take that word disability and you take off the first three letters, what are you left with? Ability. So welcome. We know you've got a lot of choices when it comes to listening, and I'm really glad that you're with us today. And I'm also excited because this is one of the nonprofit spotlight episodes. As 23 years in the nonprofit sector myself, I'm kind of a glutton for great nonprofits, and you won't be disappointed because we've got two great ladies from an organization right here in my hometown here in Louisville called FEAT, and I'll introduce them here in just a second. So again, hopefully you enjoyed today, and if you did, please share this episode with others. We want this podcast to be part of their community. Ladies from FEAT, welcome to the podcast.
Hello. Thank you, Jen.
Great to have you here. We're going to get into the Fast Four in a minute, but first, Melanie, welcome. Melanie is the executive director of FEAT, and I'll let her kind of give the quick elevator story of what they do. We'll talk more about the organization later. Also, Melanie, how did you get involved with this kind of work? How long have you been doing it? And then after that, I'll let you introduce who you brought with you today.
All right. Well, thank you, Jen. Good afternoon. Thank you for having us on the podcast. So I am the executive director, like you said, for FEAT of Louisville. It's an acronym, Families for Effective Autism Treatment. Since 1999, so this is our silver anniversary this year, 25 years we've been servicing the autism community, easing the journey, providing support, education, and programs. And we have events, networking, all throughout the year. So that is the heart of what we do. Our mission has not changed all of these years because it continues to be a need in our community. So thrilled to be here. So no matter where you are on the journey, we are here to help. So we have programs, like I said, support, education, and basically just here to help no matter what age the individual is, whether they're suspecting there's a diagnosis, maybe just receiving a diagnosis today, or maybe they've been on the journey for a while, but we're here to help. Everything from, we have a therapeutic preschool all the way to a job vocational program, trainings where we're helping businesses to see that value and see the amazing ability of individuals to be able to then talk about employment opportunities. So we're here to to really continue to make an impact in the city and beyond. And so that's the heart of what we do here.
And how long have you been doing it, and what got you into working in this organization in particular?
So our family has been on the autism journey for over 15 years. So our first nephew was diagnosed at 15. He resides here in Louisville. And then after our third nephew was born, his brother, the second born was getting a diagnosis as well. So hit home. So my family, we've been involved with FEAT, volunteering, attending events, fundraising events, to really support the mission and the work. And then I had the opportunity to join the team in 2018. I was the program manager for the Autism Friendly Business Initiative, which is a training program that we developed. And loved what I did, was part-time then. And then in November 1st of 2021, so 3 years ago, had the opportunity to come on as executive director, and thrilled to, again, be on the team. We are growing. FEAT just keeps expanding. We're looking to add another employee first of the year. So we are just thrilled because of the need, right? So we've been on the journey personally for a long time, so I get it. And, like we say in a lot of our trainings, you meet one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. So these families, just like the Sapolas, is my why. My nephews and all of these families, I have a personal relationship with a lot of these families. They have my cell phone, but they are truly an extension of our family, and that's essentially the FEAT. The FEAT vibe, the philosophy is, again, just having this community, helping to ease that journey, and really helping to show the community and these individuals like, hey, there is amazing support. There's amazing resources that we essentially want to be the hub for these families. And, here's all the resources and here's, opportunities, and really help to get them off that island. Because I saw many years ago that how quickly that can happen when you're given that
Yeah.
diagnosis.
Well,
So
speaking of families, you got one with you today. So tell us who you've brought with you on this episode.
sure do. So gracious for Bridget Sapola and her family that, like I just said, has just become an extension of my family. Just adore this family, and so it was a no-brainer when we were thinking about, the team and I were talking about who to ask on the podcast. It was a resounding yes. So thank you, Bridget, for your time today and for being here and to share your story, because there is, as we know, there's power in that, and to give Mario that platform and that voice. And so thank you for being here.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Bridget. I'm going to start with you with the fast forward. Now, for those of you who are new listeners, we're talking about this world of those with disability, those supporting them, but we're all just people. And so we like to get to know our guests on a personal level. So the fast forward is brought to us by my friends at Reliable Tech Help. So when you have computer needs, reach out to them, 502-797-7399. Number one, Bridget, I'll start with you. Favorite food?
Key lime pie.
Very specific. I love it. Okay. So Melanie, how about you?
Well, it was Italian until this year, and so anything Greek.
Okay, Greek. I love it. Bridget, maybe people don't know Littlefield Delmaris. Delmaris is Greek. It's not as flashy as Papadopoulos, so I'm with you there. Bridget, music. If we were to look on your playlist, what would we find?
Oh my gosh. I like movie soundtracks. So Carter Burwell,
Okay.
Hans Zimmerman.
Oh, yeah. Very good. And Melanie?
My playlist is very diverse, but the one that really goes to the top of the list is jazz.
Okay, very good. What about for Bridget, a favorite show, streaming show, movie, something you're enjoying these days?
These days, The Lord of the Rings, Twin Towers. I think it was the most newest one. I can't think of it. There's so many.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones. I'm kind of one of those.
Okay, very good. I see a theme there. Melanie?
It's
How
not
about you?
new, but all-time favorite is Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso. You can never go wrong with Ted Lasso. Life advice from Ted.
Wonderful.
Okay, so back to Bridget. A favorite bucket list destination you haven't been to yet, but would love to visit?
The Maldives.
Okay, very good. Melanie?
Fiji.
Fiji. All right. And then these ladies twisted my arm earlier before we got started the podcast to include a fifth question. So, Bridget, if you could bring back one person from history and have dinner with them, who would it be?
Oh gosh. Oh man, that is a great question. There would be so many. Um, I'm gonna say Elvis Presley.
Elvis Presley. There we go. Melanie, how about you?
Jesus, I have a lot of questions.
A lot of questions. You're not the first person to say that. Somebody else was like, Jesus, and I have a lot of questions. I love it.
That's a
Well,
good
welcome,
one.
welcome, ladies. So Bridget, I'm going to start with you. For folks who obviously have never met you or heard your story, maybe just give us, to begin with, some context of like how you got into this world, a little bit about your family, how you first connected with feet.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. And yes, my son is Mario. He's 20 years old now. He's actually in that transition period of being 21. Mario was first diagnosed when he was 5 years old through the Weisskopf Center. But there was a delay in his diagnosis. We went through several different pediatricians because we knew that something just wasn't right. We knew that Mario's delay developmentally, not talking, not even walking. He didn't start walking until he was 2 to 3. It was severely delayed. But yeah, it took our gut feeling to say, hey, it's time to try another pediatrician, get a second opinion. And we're so glad that we did, because she knew exactly what was going on, and she connected us with the Wyckoff Center. It did take some time to get in there, but we were able to get in there, and that's when they found he had Fragile X syndrome. And then that's when everything started. Okay, now what is it, and what do we got to do? And then we were referred to therapist, speech therapy, heart specialist, because there was something, there's a heart defect that goes along with Fragile X, a neurologist, things that we never thought we would be doing. But we trusted what they were telling us, and we just kept pushing forward. We made a lot of sacrifices to get to where we needed to be, and at hitting those milestones that he didn't go through before.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Back a long time ago, when that diagnosis first came, that's a bit of a, a wallop for a lot of families. Your life is, like you said, everything changed, everything was turned upside down. What was that part of the journey like for you, for your family? And then looking back on it, if there was a brand new mom who was asking you, they were like really struggling through that, what advice would you give after the fact? First
Don't
for
be in
you,
oh
what's
yeah,
that?
don't be in denial.
Mm,
Um, because I thought, okay, well, he's going to grow out of it.
mm,
Maybe, or this, I don't know. We were a little shocked, because at first I was like, well, what does it mean? I
right.
guess I have a lot of hope and faith, and I'm like, oh, he's going to walk, he's going to talk, it's all going to happen. What are you talking about? What do you mean he's got this? Um, but then, after research, I research.
Mhm.
Um, that's when I'm like, okay, well, we can do this. You know, he's not going to grow out of it. This is a genetic disorder, um, and it's an actual a broken X chromosome. So they don't fix those. We can't fix them. I mean,
Mm.
yeah, there's research, but I'm saying, like, don't be in denial, and just get your hands on every resource that you can, and don't give up hope, and because they'll surprise you. Our Mario surprised us, and he's our joy. He's
Absolutely.
our light. He's conquered so many things that they said that he wouldn't be able to, and he's proved me wrong, because we thought, oh, he's not going to be able to do this or that, or I mean, even his gait was off when he first started walking, and gosh, now he's a runner. He's
Wow.
yeah. um
Let's,
just
I was
don't
going to
give
ask
up.
you, Melanie, in this
Yeah.
first beginning part, when families are kind of, you hit something there, that denial, whether it's the initial parents or sometimes extended family, oh, it'll be fine, that kind of thing.
Oh,
Melanie, what is your agency's experience with helping families kind of get through the idea that life's going to be different than what they thought when they were like expecting their child?
Yeah, so that is where just getting the word out, and we really for years, I mean, really since Beats inception, is really just trying to seek out and partner with the most reputable organizations and doctors, and to be able to have those resources for families, because it is, and I can saw firsthand over 15 years ago how it's really like going through the stages of grief, right? In
mhm.
Bridget's point,
Yeah.
it is tough, 100%, and we have a very close family. It's hard, and so I can relate and sympathize to all of the families, because we have been at that part. Um, but you, there's so many things wrapped around that, but to be able to um, again have that, acceptance, like, this, okay, let's like put our seatbelt on and like let's buckle up and be prepared to fight and move forward, right? Is because that's where and early intervention is key. We talk about that so much. That's why we have like the therapeutic preschool, for instance. We have a swim program and just like the beginnings of how, and events and all kinds of things, but about how that acceptance and knowing that there is a community that's here where we've got our arms wide open, like to be here for the families and the individuals and to help and to help you through that journey. So that part, and we talked to a lot of families. They're like, oh, okay, I've seen, I should probably come to events, or I should probably get involved, and encourage, everybody to do that. You can come to as much or as little as you want to, that is there. We even have like a private, group on Facebook, where it is monitored because we have zero tolerance for any kind of judgment or negativity. But that's just one example of where someone just kind of get their feet wet, which is the name of our swim program, by the way. But just to be able to, okay, start to connect on a low level, right at the beginning of the diagnosis, like you can ask questions and talk to other parents on the journey. So a new one that we just created for dads, as specifically for dads as well. Again, going back to that intentionality with what we do, and we really staying true to our mission, and continue looking for ways to be able to connect. Bridget, just like we had our mom's night here a few weeks ago, and just the need. I mean, it fills up within minutes of us opening, that. But we know there's a lot of families out there that's like you do have to get to that acceptance piece, and that's what we really try hard to do. But obviously they've got to meet us there too. But we are here and to continue, and obviously we're just done an amazing job, just like with a lot of other families, is to like word of mouth. I mean, we have a big social media presence, and again, that networking with providers and with doctors, and the those that are doing the evaluating, and to say, hey, check out FEET and all they offer is that's really how we get get families involved. So that's the big thing, is we really want them to, I know once they get past that acceptance, and I feel like with some of the training initiatives that we have and the education piece, is people see that and they take notice that, what, there's a lot of businesses out there that are autism friendly. They have that awareness, that acceptance, and then that can lead to the appreciation, right? So it's to know that, no matter where you are, we never ask, no matter where you are in the journey, it doesn't matter. But you are a person who wants to feel valued and loved and accepted. And that's what FEET's all about, and will continue to be about for the next 25 years.
I love that. So Bridget, this idea, I think it can't be underscored enough that one of the parts of acceptance, and it helps a lot of families, is to, as soon as you can, find that part of your village, that community, those people that have walked in your shoes, even preceded you, that you can rely on. And in some cases, it gives you kind of a real hope of like, okay, it worked out for them, it's going to be okay. What was that like for you guys when you started to connect to other families?
Oh, wow. A relief, hope that, Mario's going to get out. He's going to be able to be a part of the community, go out in public, and no one's going to be, staring at him, looking at him, or, that there is people who will accept him. If I want to pinpoint it, finding FEET that first time, that really gave us hope, yeah.
It's emotional,
Yeah,
and
it's a lot. It's a lot. I get
yeah.
choked up thinking about it. I mean, it's
And how many years ago was that when you first found them?
that was 4 or
Okay,
5 years ago when we found them. I always heard about them, that I don't know. I guess I was nervous. I didn't. It is
right.
kind of.
Be
It's nervous to.
intimidating, yeah,
Yeah, it is
intimidating
kind
to
of
kind of
nervous
reach
to
out.
to reach out because you don't know if he's going to be accepted or even just on parents, like if parents are going to accept
Right,
me and my husband or whatever.
sure,
It's just a little anxiety, but when we went to that first event, I knew that it was going to be like a second home. I knew that
yeah,
they were so welcoming, and they invited us to the next event.
right. So maybe
Those invitations.
is the message, even though it can be intimidating, and these are a bunch of strangers I've never met, and it
Yeah,
can be hard to take the inertia,
man,
you really
it
can't
is.
recommend doing it fast enough because
I
once you're
know.
there, it's a game changer, right?
Oh, it is. And I have so many of my friends now that are, their kids are getting diagnoses and they reach out to me, and I will invite them to, feet events, and they're nervous. They're like, okay, I'm gonna come, and then they're like, oh, I'm just so nervous. And I'm like, don't be. I swear it is life changing. And you never know. They can meet a friend. And then when they go to the next one, then they meet more friends, like my little social butterfly, and so then they start building their community. But I can't express enough for parents to get them there
Yeah,
so they can start building that community, and everything else will fall into place. And
yeah. And we're lucky enough to have feet here. And I've also heard many guests on the podcast, or even when I was doing research for my book, in some cases, there wasn't the community and parents had to start it. A lot of organizations
yeah,
that do this kind of work are here today because back in the
yeah,
day, some parents said, we're going to just create it and we're going to make it. So I guess if you're listening
yeah,
and that group is not in your community, then probably today we have the benefit of social media to connect to other parents. And if there isn't that group,
yes,
luckily most communities there are, but if there's not, starting one, it'll take work to start one, but you'll be
yeah,
so glad you did because that community and that others that have been in your shoes, there's really nothing like getting
oh,
with another mom to mom, dad to dad,
mhm.
family to family. I love
And
that.
even if it's just one,
Right.
you can't just go into a place and just expect to learn and know everyone. If you start out just meeting just one parent, connecting, and then it grows. And but just getting over that first fear, I know that I felt it, a lot of my friends felt it. But once you're there, oh my gosh, it is life changing, and it's beneficial for your child.
I
And
love that. Now, you mentioned two words earlier that I want to come back to in a second. And you threw them out there so casually, like you're a graduate, but it takes a lot of families a long time to learn them. So hold that thought. We're going to come to those two
okay,
words when we come back here in just a second. When you have a kid who is different, all your ducks need to be in a row, especially your money. Cam Howell with Primerica knows the joys and challenges as he and his wife raise their medically fragile son, Brooks. Cam brings over 13 years of experience to his clients to help them be protected, have a plan for the future, reduce debt, and connect to resources. Get your financial house in order so that you can enjoy every moment with your child. Reach out today at 502 803 5075. And now back to the show. All right, you threw out two words earlier. You said trust your gut and get that second opinion when you were talking about the early
yes,
days. And
hmm
that's a part of the journey for a lot of families that I talked to on this podcast or when I was researching the book is kind of finding your footing to know how to ask questions, how to have a voice. Talk to us a little bit about you say that nonchalantly now, but I don't know if that was instant or if it took you a while to get to the point where you felt it was comfortable getting a second opinion or even changing providers. What was the
oh
medical
wow.
like for
I
you
mean,
guys?
who wants to change providers?
Right.
Nobody, because that first initial meeting, and they've already gotten to know your child, and now you don't want to go through all that again. And even a building could be an effect on our kiddos, going to a new place.
Right.
So yeah, it was difficult because you trust them, and because they were the first. Um, but you know, you just really I had to follow my gut really. I was just like, hey, something's not right. He was going to Sacred Hearts Ursuline Child Development Center, like during childcare, and all the kids were walking around, and here's Mario. He's crawling, and he's trying so hard to keep up with those kids because he
Mhm.
wanted to play with them, and even they were telling us little hints. Um, so I was like, okay, we just got to do it. We have to do it. And it's not going to hurt. We can't worry about if it hurts their feelings or not.
Mhm.
We can't worry about that. We have to do what's best for him. Um, so then that's when research, because back then nobody even knew what Fragile X was. Fragile X was just coming out. We didn't even know about it. I mean, and there was no resources here for therapies for specifically Fragile X, because as a parent you want to get to the heart of it. You want to be right. Who knows about it, who's gonna give us the best therapy, because we want the best for our kids.
Sure.
I mean, we almost moved to Tampa, Florida, because that's where research and therapy was provided through the Fragile X Foundation.
Mm.
But thank gosh, during our research in the Weisskopf Center, you know, early on, they were able to give us these resources like, hey, you don't have to move. We've
Mm.
got a list here for you.
So
Um,
that trusting your gut and if
yeah,
necessary, not feeling like
yes,
the team is working, just getting a different provider is
yeah,
something I think a lot of people, it takes them a while to realize that's even possible, and
yeah.
they'll like denial of the
We went
diagnosis.
through
There's a lot of
three.
denial of the gut. Went through three. Yeah.
We went through three. I wasn't playing around.
I love it. So all these ups and downs have a lot of potential for impact on the family, whether it's your significant other or your spousal relationship, whether it's siblings. I know you have another daughter,
Yeah.
Rosie. Talk to us about what that part of the journey has been like for you. And again, what advice do you give? Because like you said, other moms turn to you since they know you've kind of been there, done that, got the t-shirt with Mario, right? What about, talk to us a little bit about family impact.
Um, well, at first it was rocky, because you're navigating those uncharted waters. You're um and sitting down as a family, talking, communicating was so important for us in order to keep this a positive environment. We knew that from the get-go, and we tried our best to make sure that we all were on the same page. And Rosie, she loves her brother, and he loves her. Those two are like peas and carrots. We are so blessed because not a lot of people tell us, because like I said, we don't have that experience
Right.
of the typical families. But because they're like, oh my gosh, they get along, and I'm like, yes, we are so grateful for that. So it's just been all positive. Rosie is she's a powerhouse. She's very positive with Mario, and Mario, I mean, yeah, it's now it's all good, I guess I should say. I mean, there are times when I guess you could say, like if Rosie has something to do and then Mario's was at the same time. They
Right.
both understand, like, hey, sometimes Mario might need both of us, and Rosie might have, my mom there, or but we really try to be there for both of them. Um, so yeah, trying to find that balance
I love that.
between this both of the kids. And really, I guess I should say it's just talking, communicating, because Rosie has every right to know what's going on with Mario,
Yeah. I love that.
and not keeping her out of the picture, or not really making her feel included. Um, yeah, I say
Yeah.
communication is key, and it's worked for us. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Melanie, I was going to ask you, having with your services and just your staff being around so many families, sibling, spousal relationships, what have you guys seen? What advice do you give to families?
Yeah, so again, please get connected with us, reach out, because a lot of our events, pretty much all of our events, except for like mom, the ones that are real strategic about like mom's nights, dad's nights, things like that, they are for the siblings too. I mean, the Sepulveda, Rosie was right there alongside of Mario at our 5K.
It sure was.
Is our, it's one of our annual fundraising events, but it also, we have like a huge resource area for our families, right? So we have usually 50 to 60 resources on average, to be able to have all of that in one spot. And we do that at a lot of our events, to be able to have those resources and partner, with this autism friendly community that we've, that we've built over the years. But that is what has been so cool, is to see not only, that other families, they start to forge friendships and everything, but how important that is for the families, to build the stronger families, and really to be able to have that outlet, and again to have that connection. So whether it's the whole families come out, or but the siblings are always welcome to. And I know, like with we have monthly family swims, at different locations where we have our swim program, and so it's really amazing to see the families that have the friendships that have come from that. So again, once you can kind of get to that point of, okay, let's try, is in, again, thankful to Bridget and her family for like encouraging other families to do the same, because again, on the other, and how, I can, I see someone like Mario, who is amazingly gifted and talented. I mean, he goes to U of L. I mean, he just amazing. I mean, I feel like I know him, and then he like will say or do something that just like, just he never ceases to amaze me. And then I can tell you that there is hope, because I'll give we can be here all day, Jim. I mean, give countless.
I know, Jim. How much time you got?
I know. To be mindful, I will give you a very personal example, and that is of our oldest nephew. So picture a blonde-haired, blue-eyed little boy walking in, bebopping in with this little mini LL Bean backpack to the Endeavor program, which again is one of our programs that's expanding in early 2025. Again, to have that early intervention with individuals to really set them up for success. So Isaac was part of that. So he was part of that program. And now fast forward, he just was accepted a couple weeks ago to Bellarmine University here in Louisville, and is receiving a scholarship. So, I mean, just how, and thankfully, like to Bridget's point, that you really do have to be here at FEAT. We will do as much as we can, but you really have to be that advocate too. So there were times when, when Isaac's parents, that's my sister, when they said, this or that, and, she went with her gut, like Bridget said, you have to fight. Don't take no for an answer. And if you feel, this is your child, but how just some of those things in the early days can really change the trajectory of a life and of an individual. And man, you meet Mario, he is one infectious ball of energy.
There's never a bad day.
Now, Bridget, I have an assignment for you, because I'm going to ask Melanie a question to give the listeners some information. But while she's talking, I'm going to give you an assignment. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, so I want you to make a list of about 3. You probably make a list of 20, but for the interest of time, make a list of about 3 or 4 things that maybe the world thought Mario would never do. Maybe at one time even you were worried about whether he was going to be able to do them. And then today he not only does them, but he's maybe even exceeded your expectations. I'm sure you could do that off the top of your head. Work on that list while I ask Melanie this question. Okay, Melanie, folks are hearing all this feet talk and they want to know more about you guys. So give us your website, first of all.
So FEAT, F-E-A-T, Families for Effective Autism. It's feetoflouisville.org.
feetoflouisville.org. Okay, fantastic. And then we always talk about what the agencies are doing now, but there's always where you want to be and kind of the gap between today and tomorrow. Talk to us a little bit about your future. What are some of your biggest needs right now?
So the biggest needs, obviously, is always funding. So we're all, that's why we fundraise throughout the year. But looking for people to get involved. Volunteers are the backbone of our organization. We are a Louisville-based nonprofit. We are not affiliated. One of the big misconceptions is we actually are affiliated with a larger national nonprofit, and we are not. So every dollar that is raised stays here. So we are always looking for ways to expand, just like I said, we're doing with our job vocational program and the Endeavor program, therapeutic preschool, both expanding the beginning of 2025. We run a summer camp with collaborations with Dreams with Wings. And so it's called Dreams in Motion. That's something we're always looking for, to be able to have that grow. We service the most campers ever this past summer of 2024. So is that need, just continuing to fulfill that need, whether it's expanding programs, creating new programs, that is FEAT's, will always be FEAT's mission and FEAT's goal. So we have, we've got like our 5K coming up May 17th, feat5k.com. That's another way to volunteer, get involved. We're always looking for sponsorship opportunities. Great way to get your business out there, and while supporting, the work that we do. So, 1 in 36 are currently being diagnosed with autism. And individuals with autism usually have more than one diagnosis, right? So, is really helping the families to navigate, and to equip them with as many resources as possible. And then, having some fun too, having, events and community events and for families just like this Apollos.
I love it. We don't have enough time in this episode. So Bridget, if you're willing, I'm going to set up a time to interview a little bit further so that when this episode comes out, I can do a blog post about you and your family. Would that be okay?
That'll be fine.
So now I know this is a tough subject to talk about, bragging on Mario. Twist your arm, right? Give us your list.
Okay. My list is talking, walking, acting, college, or even graduating high school, and college. Speaking publicly.
Wow.
So yeah, he has proved us wrong, or proves them wrong. So yeah, we're very proud of him.
So that's a perfect segue into what I typically wrap up with folks. I'm going to let you go second, Bridget, and Melanie go first.
Okay.
If we brought both of you ladies in to speak to an audience of parents whose kids who had received a diagnosis, maybe autism, maybe some other type of, they knew they were just going to be on a different path. And this was a group of parents whose kids were under 5. We'll start with Melanie. What would be your 3 or 4 keys to success that you would advise those parents to navigate this path?
Fight and be an advocate. Inform yourself with as much information, do the research, and then utilize resources just like FEAT, right? Is to be able to equip yourself with as much, we know education is key with anything in life, is to be able to, call it what it is. And then that can really, again, change what the future is because of, make a game plan, right? Is this is what it is. And then just like for instance, with an autism diagnosis, as hard as it is, it's really your ticket to services, and it really opens the door up. So go through, you're entitled, we're all human, right? To go through those emotions, you have a right, you're human. But then to be able to say, okay, let's like, let's say this is what it is, and then let's get all your tools and figure out how, like, what's the next step. And don't, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, but don't hit rewind, don't hit fast forward, hit pause and play, right? And to be able to say, okay, this is the next thing we should do, and then go, for it. But to be, no matter what the diagnosis is to fight and to be an advocate, and to reach out for help. It's okay. It's okay. That's why there are organizations like ours and so many other partner organizations. That's what we're here for. So that's my advice.
Great list. Okay, Bridget, what would you tell this audience?
Don't hold them back. Just keep trying everything. If you had a bad experience at one event, don't give up on that. Just keep trying, keep going. Eventually it will stick. I promise it will. And they're going to feel welcomed, and they're going to want to start coming on their own, like the feet events and the camps. But yeah, you can't let your fear as a parent get in the way of keeping them from experiencing all that life has to offer, because they have just as much right as anyone else. And but yeah, just keep talking to people, asking questions and researching. Just adding what Melanie said. I mean, research. I mean, that's what we did. We used the Google engine. We talked to people. We used resources at Feet, and she was so thankful, because I mean, really, we didn't know about what was out there.
Right.
Feet started everything, and then everything just came after knowing all the other different things that our kids can be involved in and have their own community. So, but yeah, just keep fighting, advocate for them. And it's okay to advocate for them. It's okay to talk for them until they find their voice. And they will find their voice. I know some are afraid. They're like, oh, I don't want to talk for them. But it's okay to do it at first, because eventually that's how they're going to learn. And then they will find their voice. And just don't give up. Keep going out there and in public.
Your passion for both of you is contagious. We're lucky in Louisville to have an organization like Feet. Thank you, ladies, for both being here. I know I'm excited just hearing about your work, and I already knew about you guys. So if you're a listener for the first time hearing about Feet, I hope this was helpful to you. We would love your help having the Seeing Ability podcast not stay a best kept secret. There's other families out there, and really the goals with this podcast are threefold. One, we always want you to listen to an episode and get some education. I know you probably learned stuff today. Two, we all need that burst of motivation. I know hearing these ladies got me fired up. I think it probably did for you. And then the third is it can be isolating and lonely out there. So we want listening to this podcast to be just another layer of your community and part of your village. So if you're listening and you're part of a mom's group, a dad's group, a group on Facebook, post about this podcast, get other people to know about it. And we need other stories. We do 2 episodes a month. Here in 2025, we'll have one like this, which is a nonprofit spotlight, and another, which is a family, a parent, could be an adult with it, who grew up with a disability, sharing their story. We would love their ideas. In addition to the podcast, last year, I was fortunate enough, after about 3 years' work, to publish a book, which I did as the book that I wish we had been given 24 years ago when my daughter was born. And it was the result of 100 interviews with families, putting all that together to kind of be a roadmap with the same name, Seeing Ability. So you can get that on Amazon, get that on Barnes and Nobles. It's for some young parents. It's obviously that guide book to help them navigate the path. I'm hoping for parents who have been there, done that, got the t-shirt, it's a book you can have on hand for that next person that comes to you and that you're mentoring. So any way you can help us get the word out, I'd appreciate it. Ladies, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Bridget. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.